Hello and welcome to the pod. I'm Nathan Fink.
I'm Jasmine Torres-Allen, and this is New Hampshire Family Now,
a show about building family in the Granite State.
Today in the show, Jasmine and I talk literacy. 3 riders from this year's Ride for Resilience discuss building community resilience. And later, Sarah Vecchiotti, Executive Director of the Couch Foundation, joins us to talk early childhood investment.
New Hampshire Family Now is brought to you by the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. Since 1962, the Charitable Foundation has worked hand in hand with generous and visionary citizens to maximize the power of giving and support, collaborate, and lead innovative initiatives. Initiatives like New Hampshire Tomorrow, which is focused on making sure children and families have access to education, healthcare, and career pathways to ensure every family member thrives. To learn more about New Hampshire Charitable Foundation and all their initiatives, go to www.nhcf.org. This podcast was also brought to you by Family Support New Hampshire. Family Support New Hampshire is NH's coalition of family resource centers and family strengthening programs that exist to ensure Granite State families have access to resources so both caregivers and children can succeed, because supported families are strong families. To find a family resource center near you, visit www.fsnh.org.
So welcome to the podcast. Jasmine, it's so good to see you again.
It's great to see you too.
And it's October.
It's October.
I feel like I say that like I invented it.
It's that nice chill that comes in that we finally got, right?
Sweater weather.
It's sweater weather.
It's good to see you. It feels like it's been a while.
Yeah.
What's the family doing? What are you up to?
We're up to lots of different things, but right now we're focused on reading together.
Oh, you are?
We're focused on reading together. I am organizing a really cool event at the National Public Library on October 17th, where we're promoting literacy through a Hispanic Heritage Month activity.
Nice.
Yeah.
So literacy, huge word.
I know, right? When we see the word and we hear the word, we're like, whoa, what kind of literacy are we talking about here? We're talking about straight up reading together.
Okay.
Right now, I'm going around the state listening to educators and parents and just listening to what their concerns are. And right now, the top concern is literacy. Can my child read at the level that they should be reading at? And, you know, we talk about, expectations in that aspect, but literacy is super, super important, because literacy can break the cycle of poverty. It can enable a child to make their own decisions, be able to learn new information, analyze information on their own. So literacy is an important skill.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. There's a self like dictative component, I think, to that, because the moment my son started to develop literacy, he started to develop a curiosity that was larger and more deep. Like,
they ask more questions.
Yeah. Things contain other things.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So they understand what a bigger picture looks like, and then what a bigger picture can turn into a smaller picture.
Yeah. It's like a nesting doll. Like, you know, if you see a book at first, if it has pictures, great. But then all of a sudden you start to understand there's something in there. Then there's something in there.
Exactly.
So easy question. How do you teach it?
It's actually kind of difficult, right? Yes. And I think sometimes parents get a little scared at the thought of like having to teach their kids to read, because maybe their literacy level might not be where it needs to be.
Right.
But you know me, in my Jasmine Learn Something kind of way, I always have these very easy tips to incorporate literacy at a very basic level. So one of the tips I like to give is have a fort building day.
Oh my gosh.
You know, take the blankets in your house, build a fort, bring a little flashlight, maybe you have a little light, and read books together inside the fort. You know, you're building on creativity because you're getting excited about building a fort, and then you get to hang out together.
Right.
Right. And then you get to open up your books. And the second tip is get books that make your kid laugh.
Really?
Yes. Yes. So the Scholastic Family Reading Report let us know that 70% of kids pick up books that make them laugh. So if that's something that can encourage your child to pick up another book, then I encourage you to go to your local library and go and get some really funny books. Maybe it's Captain Underpants. Yeah. I know my son loves Captain Underpants books.
Yeah, my son does too. It's really great that you say that, because teaching through joy, teaching through laughter, teaching through those connective moments.
So it's funny. And then it reminds us that it's okay to be silly. Like it's okay for our kids to be silly and develop that imagination that they should have.
So literacy in general, though, because when we talk about literacy, this is not
just a skill. To me, it feels like this is a way to view the world. So I want to kind of step back, because to a family unit, that's a moment of social connection.
Right.
But that is also a moment of social emotional competence building for the child, because, in those interactions, not only are we diving into the words and things, but we're also building that relationship.
That's right.
And which makes for a more resilient family unit.
Right.
So if we take literacy and we put it in the family unit alongside those other things, the social connections, the social emotional learning, we got a deeper level.
Absolutely. And you're building on those critical thinking skills.
Right.
At that point now, your child can be able to ask questions where they might not feel comfortable enough to have the words to ask those questions.
Mm-hmm.
And those moments can be those really special moments to open up conversations of all kinds. And that can build on that family resiliency part.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do you have tools for the literacy?
Absolutely. So, on pbskids.org/parents, you can actually go in, and if you're looking for specific activities such as literacy, math, social emotional learning, you can go in, plug in the specific topic you want the resources in. You can even put in the age of your child so that it's age specific to those activities. And they'll give you a host of wonderful things to do, just like the tips that I just gave. My favorite one that I'm practicing with my daughter now is writing letters, because she's starting to write and learn to write and read. And so that helps, that development of asking questions, describing her world, and, talking to other people, opening that social connection.
I should give you my address.
Oh.
We should have our kids write each other.
Oh, like a secret pen pal.
Is that the plot from The Notebook?
Yeah.
And when we come back, we welcome 3 riders from this year's Ride for Resilience. Don't go anywhere.
Today's episode was brought to you by Upreach Therapeutic Equestrian Center. Located in Goffstown, New Hampshire, Upreach partners with the power of horse to create strong children, strong families, and strong communities. To learn more about Upreach Therapeutic Equestrian Center and its many inspirational programs, visit upreachtec.org. That's upreachtec.org.
Today's show was also brought to you by Burgoo Media, a full-service media company dedicated to helping nonprofits realize impact stories for print, video, social, and legacy media, and more. Both budget-conscious and grant-friendly, Burgoo Media helps your organization celebrate the humans in human services. Learn more at burgoomedia.com.
And a quick reminder that on October 13th, riders will once again be cycling 100 miles for the 3rd annual Ride for Resilience. This year's route features New Hampshire's Lakes region, connecting family resource centers as we go. So please turn out in support of our riders by visiting nhchildrenstrust.org/2023-ride-4-resilience, because building strong Granite State families takes each and every one of us. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm thrilled to welcome a few of our riders from this year's Ride for Resilience on Friday, October 13th. Partner at Nixon Peabody and ride founder Mark Knights, VP and Commercial Bank Relationship Manager at Bangor Savings Bank, Sean Scabo, and Laura Hagley, Director of Quality and Project Management at Valley Regional Healthcare. Mark, Sean, Laura, thank you so much for joining the show.
Nice to be here.
Thank you.
So, Mark, I wanted to start with you because as the founder of the Ride for Resilience, we are now in our 3rd year. And once again, you're riding. And I want to know what it means to you to not only be continuing this, but further expanding it as we go.
In a word, relief. It's nice to know that as more people come on, it takes some of the pressure off of me. That first year of doing it alone was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of fun, but it was also something I really wanted to succeed. And so I guess in addition to relief, gratitude, again, to have other people joining in on this and having it grow year by year into something that, has become a signature event for the Children's Trust.
And we so appreciate that. Now, Sean and Laura, this is your first time riding it. And I have to put myself in that category because this year I'm riding as well. So this is our first time riding a 100-mile cycling event, connecting family resource centers across New Hampshire as we go. And, this is the Ride for Resilience. So to your mind, why is resilience something worth riding for?
Well, I think that since the pandemic, we've really seen how important communities are and the networks we create in those communities. And I think we all have a role to play in the networks that support individuals toward resilience. And we all play the role that we can, and that can look many different ways. And so this opportunity is just a great way to take part in something bigger that is really extending throughout the whole state of New Hampshire.
Similar to what Laura says, community, a well-balanced community it's key. And where it starts, it's with how we raise our children and the values we instill in them and building that foundation for them as they continue to grow into adulthood, and doing the ride and promoting resilience is such a key to that, building that foundation and having the resources to families to be able to instill those values in their children so that in the future, they grow up to be productive and great adults. And then they do the same thing with their children.
Yeah. Now, resilience, I mean, you guys know resilience is like a muscle, right? Like we're adults well into our careers, jumping in and out of Zoom calls and things like that. But resilience as a muscle is something you build. And I'm curious on the personal level, because we are talking about 100 miles. I want to know from this group, how over the course of your own life, or even the course of getting ready for this ride, have you been able to flex that resilience muscle? What have you done to kind of put yourself in that resilience mindset to really get you moving forward and ready for this ride?
For me, it's you set a goal and you want to, achieve that goal. And in this case, we're going to cross the finish line at one point. So you're motivated to push yourself and to train and, trying to get out, 2-3 times a week, riding and trying to build up that endurance. The way I look at it with families, it's kind of the same thing, but there is no finish line. They're continuously going. And I understand that, building family values. And it's a continuous struggle for a lot of families in this day and age because all they have to deal with. For me, I'm focusing on one thing, and that's to get to the finish line of this race. Yeah, it's just a good feeling to be able to be part of this group and to support what you guys are doing.
Yeah, for me, it's always been about community. So I have a background in competitive running. And what gets me out of bed every morning is running with a fabulous group of women at 5:30 in the morning. And so they've really helped me on a continual basis to just maintain my fitness levels and run. We'll go out for a few hours on the weekends. So that's my background. And then in terms of getting back on my bike, I'm also a social rider. So I've just been using it as opportunities to connect with riding friends. And then I'm really looking forward to the community aspect of this, pulling riders together from around the state who are representing different family resource centers. I just think for me, really, it is all about community. Yeah. And that's my intrinsic motivation, is just really that drive to move and live and express the fullness of life in movement within a community. And that's really what gets me going.
That really hones into on your collective experience as a people, as a community, when you're going through and having open and very clear-eyed recognition of the fact that we are quite literally going in the same direction, around the same loop, using that same muscle and really building that same resilience. I think that's eye-opening. Mark, what about you? Anything to add on that front?
I don't think I could have said it better than both Sean and Laura. They hit on a couple of points that are huge to me as well. The community and the joining together of community is a huge part of this for me. We use this ride as a metaphor for resilience in some respects, but I don't know if it's a perfect one-to-one comparison, because as Sean mentioned, there's a finish line here. There's a goal we're working towards. And so we can prepare with that in mind. But resilience to some degree is building up that muscle, not knowing when you're going to need to use it. We all know when we're going to have to, cross that finish line, when we're going to have to get out there on the bikes, and we can plan and lead up to it. But throughout our lives, resilience is, planning for something that may never come, and being prepared and being elastic in what you're able to do and the challenges that you're able to meet and challenges that may never come. So the ride isn't a perfect metaphor for resilience, but I love that it is something that we're doing to draw together the community and show this group of people working together for a common goal to unite these family resource centers.
It's a great point, and I love the idea of flexible and elastic, and in many ways changed after this. I fully expect to be changed, and I think all of these resilience and these family supports that we're talking about, when we talk about them as a few individuals riding across the state, we kind of arrive at this thing called resilience and demonstrating it. Like you said, Mark, it's not a one-to-one, but also I think it's worth recognizing that individuals do participate in different careers and professions and are from different sectors. So I wanted to kind of take a second here to talk about the different sectors from which we come. Mark, you're in legal. Sean, you're in banking. Laura, you're in healthcare. And yet we know building community resilience takes that cross-sector partnership. What role do you see your sectors playing in the building of this thing called community resilience?
Talking about healthcare, I think that's an easy link to make. I'll say in multiple ways. So I think there's the practical ways that healthcare supports communities, right? Valley Regional, the hospital that I am part of, we support the community. We gave over $6.5 million in community benefit back to our community in 21, 22 years. So that's clear. We provide financial assistance, almost $500,000 in the 21, 22 fiscal year. So we're doing that in direct ways. We're providing mental health services and connections, integrating community services for patients. Those are all very clear. I think on another level, a small community hospital that providing healthcare, Valley Regional is a place where you're not a number, we walk down the hall and we say hi to people, staff and patients by name. We know our community. We're serving our community, and it's the community that's working here. And so we're really deeply embedded and invested in the care of this community, and then also aligned with the broader network, right? Just as TLC is a family resource center and very integrated into the Claremont community and broader community in our county, also connected with the family resource centers. And I think this ride really just demonstrates that, right? That we're all coming together for the same cause, we're all connected, and we're also very tied to our local areas.
Sean, what about you?
Well, working at Bangor Savings Bank, we're a mutual savings bank. And what that means, a lot of people don't understand, is we don't have stockholders. So our stockholders are really the community. We've been around for 172 years and started at Bangor, Maine, and expanded into New Hampshire now. And Bangor, just like any other mutual, they give back consistently to the community. A lot of funding, hundreds of thousands of dollars every year. We actually, through our foundation, just awarded New Hampshire Children's Trust one of our grants. It was a great thing to do. We do it with a lot of nonprofits. So essentially, our profits that we pay for stockholders goes to the community, to nonprofits. And we do a lot of sponsorships of nonprofits, and then volunteerism too as well. I can't tell you how many hours. It's probably tens of thousands of hours this bank gives back in volunteer hours. Just recently at the Multicultural Festival here in Concord, which is a great event, we had 4 employees volunteering. Last night we had a walk a mile in their shoes. Yes, I was walking in high heels last night. Pretty pink bumps. We're just always out there trying to support the community and various nonprofits and doing what we can do.
Mark, what about you in the legal community? How do you see that playing in the building of community resilience?
I think as members of the bar, we put a lot of emphasis on pro bono legal services and trying to help the community in any way that we can. The New Hampshire Bar Association has an expectation that lawyers devote a certain number of hours to pro bono legal services to deserving individuals, nonprofits, community-based organizations per year. Here at Nixon Peabody, my firm, we average per year over 100 hours of pro bono services per attorney, in addition to the many other things we do to help serve the community. We leverage our legal skills on boards of directors. I'm on the board of the Children's Trust, for example. Many of my other colleagues are on other boards and community organizations. And we use that legal expertise to try to serve the community in any way that we can, not only through the provision of pro bono legal services, but also just by getting out into the community and pitching in wherever we can. We do an annual week of service here at Nixon Peabody, where we help out with some community organizations. We've worked in New Hampshire Food Bank's production garden. This year, we're going to be working with a food bank again. in their pantry, putting together meals for unhoused folks. And so the legal community, not just here at Nixon Peabody, but in the bar at large, is really engaged with the community and really does everything within its power to try to help out.
Well, I have to say, I so appreciate all of you in your roles professionally and that you volunteered personally to do this ride for resilience. Mark, Sean, Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And thank you so much for lending yourselves and your own personal resilience to this year's Ride for Resilience.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
To learn more about NHCT's Ride for Resilience and how you can get involved, visit nhchildrenstrust.org. That's nhchildrenstrust.org. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we welcome Sarah Vecchiotti, Executive Director of the Couch Family Foundation. Don't go anywhere. This podcast was brought to you by Nixon Peabody, who delivers exceptional legal services for clients in the community by combining high performance, an entrepreneurial spirit, deep engagement, and an unwavering commitment to a culture of collaboration, diversity, and humanity. Nixon Peabody works with universities, hospitals, and nonprofits of every size to maximize impact. For more information, visit nixonpeabody.com. Today's show was also brought to you by Merrimack County Savings Bank, who proudly supports the mission and efforts of New Hampshire Children's Trust. Founded in 1867, Merrimack has served people, businesses, nonprofits, and municipalities in central and southern New Hampshire for over 155 years by treating everyone with care, respect, and compassion. Visit your local offices in Bow, Concord, Kentucky, Hooksett, and Nashua, or go to www.themerrimack.com. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. Today on the show, I'm excited to welcome Sarah Vecchiotti. Am I right on that?
You are.
I nailed it?
Yes, you did.
The new executive director of the Couch Family Foundation, whose work strives to support early learning, children's health, and family strength. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nathan, and thank you for the opportunity to be here.
It's great to see you in person. Yeah. I'm so glad to hear you landed at the Couch Foundation, given its focus and your passion. So I thought we'd start there. Why early learning? Why does early learning mean so much to you?
Well, I'm actually lucky to have landed at the Couch Family Foundation too, because I share its mission of wanting to work towards children and families and communities being safe, healthy, and thriving. And so early learning is pretty important because it's a crucial developmental period for children. Mm-hmm. It is a foundational time where you can set up children for meeting their full potential. I mean, think of it like the brain research is showing the rapid development in terms of physical, cognitive, social and emotional skills that is happening during this time period. And those kind of skills and capacities are also interconnected and intertwined. So they're not happening in isolation. Right. So it's a pretty complex integration period, and it's all happening within children's experiences and the relationships they're having. So it's tremendously complex and unique period. So for me, that type of time period, which sets and has huge implications for children's future, is the time to focus on, because it's a window of opportunity that you can harness to have tremendous impact now and in the future.
And, you know, this is not a strengths-based way to say it. We can't get that back, right? That window passes. So what is the Couch Family Foundation planning to do? Because you went through some strategic planning.
So the Couch Family Foundation, yes, they embarked on the strategic plan, but their entire history since 2002 has really been focused on early childhood and promoting child and family well-being. The presence has been in the Upper Valley. Those are the cherished communities. That's where the Couch family has lived, raised their children, and they have deep connections in that community. So we're continuing to support direct service organizations in the Upper Valley who are aligned with our mission and are supporting healthy, vibrant communities and child and family well-being. But recently, the Couch Family Foundation launched this new strategy focused on early care and education. And the reason why they did it is because looking at the way our policies and practices are set up, they're really not set up to help be responsive to the needs of children and families during this time frame, right? Like we just haven't changed the way we're thinking about our governing systems and our financial systems and our support systems to really kind of capitalize and leverage this opportunity that has tremendous impact, not just on the immediate benefits of, child development and supporting parental employment, but also in the long term in supporting a productive citizenry and workforce, right? So the reason why the Couch Family Foundation is focused on that is to kind of create and build and scale these high quality, equitable early care and education systems so that there is more of a match between the policies in place. And so we have some strategies.
Those strategies, because you do have to build scaffolding to get where you're trying to go. What are some of the beams and trusses of that scaffolding to get us to what you just said?
Yeah. So one thing is the Couch Family Foundation is also seeing this vision through in the long term, right? Policy, systems change. It's a lot of work. It's culture change, it's systems change. And so we have kind of a three-pronged approach. Mm-hmm. One is supporting advocacy and organizing to really help increase access to high quality early care and education, and think about how we can create public demand and will to be supportive of creating such systems. So advocacy and organizing is a huge one. And then the second one is really working towards making sure that states, localities, and like this state, New Hampshire, regions and localities within New Hampshire have provider support systems in place so that the programs, the early care and education programs and providers who are actually providing the services have the tools and resources they need to be able to deliver high quality early care and education services.
That's interesting that you say that, because the guardian angels of the angels on the ground doing the work. I cut you off at the second prong of your fork. What's your third prong?
Well, and there's another piece, the second prong, which I just really think is important also, which is part of this provider support systems, which also means supporting the professionals who are working directly with the children and families so that they're well prepared and well compensated to do this work. You can't talk about high quality without also talking about the workforce. So I just want to make sure that's there. Mm-hmm. So then the third prong is really research and data. Making sure that all of our efforts are grounded in research and data. Yes, to spur innovation and demonstrate impact, but also to kind of provide guidance towards continuous quality improvement efforts to support more effective policies and practices in early care and education.
I appreciate you talking about those things. Now, a lot of the times I come at this work more often than not as a dad. And, this period of raising children, especially in early childhood, is so intense. How can we frame this conversation for, say, advocacy, for, say, partners and stakeholders in a way that actually incurs positive change?
Yeah. Well, I think parents and caregivers actually want what's best for their kids. They want their kids to meet their full potential. So I think supporting children in reaching their full potential, whether it's delving into interests in the block area to build an airport or be a dinosaur, like developing those critical thinking skills, making friends and learning how to share and take turns, identifying emotions and figuring out how to handle them when somebody's hogging the marker that you want, or you don't get free choice. Like in your playtime, you get your second choice, not your first choice, right? Like parents and caregivers want children to be able to develop and hone those skills so that in the long run, right, their outcomes are better. But we also know that parents really want also to have economic well-being and self-sufficiency. And so many of them also have to work. So providing high quality early care and education also supports them being able to engage in employment to do so. And so we also know that high quality early care and education is a place where parents can feel confident that their kids are safe, healthy, and learning. And so they're less stressed and worried while they're at work. And then when you think of it like that, less stress and worry helps also facilitate the interactions, positive interactions between children and caregivers. So you're actually facilitating more healthy developmental relationships, right? And then also just the fact that what we're looking to do is create affordable, high quality early care and education so that economic worry that promoting children's learning is going to be out of reach, or essentially pitting other essential needs like housing or food or healthcare against supporting early learning. Like we want it to be affordable so that type of worry, that type of economic pressure is also not sitting there. So all of that leads to more healthy, positive family dynamics, which leads to also more vibrant communities.
Exactly. Now, when we talk about this, the aspirational nature of it, it's very clear to me. It's very clear to say, you're right. This is what I want for my children. And this is what I want for my family. And this is what I want for me within that. And, as we, from the lens of the foundation and kind of, that nudging force, that seed force to get us in the right direction, you can't possibly be large enough to do it on your own. This is all about partnership, public-private partnership, stakeholder partnership. So I'm always curious from the lens of a foundation, how do you look at that partnership? How do you seed things? How do you move them forward? How then do you get to sustainability once you're seeing that thing break ground?
Yeah. So One other reason why I'm very lucky to have landed at the Couch Family Foundation is because they have a long history actually of working in collaboration with their community stakeholders and partners, right? So that is not changing with the launch of our new early care and education strategy. And I think also the Couch Family Foundation knows that this is policy change and systems change takes a long time. So they are going to see this vision through. There might be times where there could be some demonstration programs or like discrete initiatives, right, that are more seeding and piloting in nature. But by and large, the primary approach of the foundation will be to actually partner with the institutions, agencies, and organizations in New Hampshire, strengthen their organizational capacity, strengthen their ability to actually initiate and carry on this work. And at the same time, help garner the public and private investment that we know is needed to sustain these systems long term. So it's a two-pronged approach, like building the capacity of New Hampshire organizations and at the same time working to get that investment. Both of those pieces are really needed to make sure, like what you were saying, is that these are actually sustainable long-term changes in policy.
Exactly.
So that is the commitment in the strategies that we've outlined, is that we hope to be able to do that. And in partnership with also other funders.
I have to say, you walked in here with this, new car smell, new executive director, who's the new kid, and it feels like you've been here the whole time. So welcome to New Hampshire. I'm so glad that you're at the Couch Family Foundation, and thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Nathan. I really appreciate it.
Many thanks to the Samuel P. Hunt Foundation for sponsoring this podcast. Established in 1951, Samuel P. Hunt Foundation is a Manchester-based, independent nonprofit that provides grants primarily for the arts, children and youth services, faith-based organizations, educational institutions, healthcare, and human services. New Hampshire Family Now is listed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and more. Listen wherever you get your podcasts or ask your smart speaker to play New Hampshire Family Now.